G'day everybody, this is a new service for the Geneva Push. We're asking Premier Church Planter Andrew Hurd to answer all of our questions. So the first question that somebody has sent to us, Andrew, is about assessment. He says, when is a good point to get involved with assessment? I'm only just starting at college next year and it'll be 4 years, possibly more, before I'm ready to plant. How early is too early?
Okay, well, we're saying to guys that earlier than 2 years is too early. So you want to be closer in than 2 years out from a church plant, if that makes sense. If you're further out than 2 years, 3-4 years out, it's probably too early to get a feel for whether you've got the gifts in place yet, whether you've had your ministry heart tested properly, whether you're really set and so on. So we've had a few guys apply. We've had a few guys apply who have been 4 or 5 years out, and we've pretty much said to them, look, come back in a couple of years' time. We want to see you get established, settle down a bit more, get firmed up on what you're doing. Yeah.
In those, so I guess he's got 4 years ahead of him at least. What can he profitably do before he's really ready to start that sort of rundown to assessment? I mean, if he's obviously shown some sort of interest in church planting, but what could he effectively do that might be useful?
Yeah, lots of good stuff. If he's at college, that's a great place to be. We're big believers in theological education. It's planning a church throws all kinds of challenges at you. You've got to set a culture in place for a new church. That foundation's huge. Getting your theology sorted out is really important. But he ought to put himself in places where he can test out his gifts. And so, in a more informal setting, get connected with other church planters. Come along to In the Shoot. And get connected with that bunch of guys. It's actually very helpful to hang out with them because you catch the bug. You see the kind of things they're going through. It'll either just repulse you and make you go, I never want to be a planter ever again, or it'll make you go, look, I see what they're about, what they're doing, and it's exciting. I want to get part of it. I want to be involved. It'll fire your passions. If it's firing your passions, I take it that's God at work, and be encouraged. Do some testing. Actually, ask people you know whether they think you might have the gifts to do startup ministries. You can go online. There's a guy called Ridley who is, I think, the kind of guru of testing all of these things in America. He's done a whole lot of tests of church planters. He's come up with 13 characteristics of a church planter that he thinks you need to have. Be worth just going online, type it in Google. I mean, it's not hard to do. Type in Ridley church plant test or something like this, and you run your way through those and give yourself a score out of 5 for each one, and work out whether you think you've got some sense of whether that's the way to go. The other thing to do is, I think, get yourself in a church where you can test your ministry gifts. Find a church that's either a church plant or is involved in planting, and make it your church. Hang out with the guys there. But wherever you are, actually try some ministry. Especially mission. I reckon everyone who's thinking about church planting ought to do an adopt a block thing. Just choose a night of the week, once a fortnight, once a week. Go door knocking. See if you can build a group through mission. See if you've got the gifts to bring someone from pagan to interested to converted to maturity. It's so helpful to do. Actually, it's helpful to do for all kinds of reasons. Helpful because it'll help you work out whether you're a public servant, ministry-minded person. Do you know, like guys can tend towards thinking, oh, I can only do ministry if they say go and do it, or it's my job, but we want planters who are the kind of guys who go, there's a need, I'm just going to fill it. I'm just going to get out there and make it happen. So you'll help see whether you've got that self-starter mentality, which is huge. You might actually see some people converted. So that'll be a good reason to go and do some evangelism. Just go and do it. Yeah.
Well, look, you're involved in the Geneva Push's assessment team, so I know you're assessing people, through the year. Say we move this fellow down the track a couple of years, or maybe there's somebody who's listening who's saying, hey, look, I think I want to start the next 2 years. What sort of things should they be thinking about as they're running up to assessment? I mean, what sort of dream kit do you want somebody to bring to you when it's time for assessment? What have they thought through already?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they want to have thought through their own ministry mind, their own theology. They want to have a clear sense of the core planks of Christian thinking. We want to see the guys have got some runs under the belt. They've done some ministry. They've started some work. They've seen fruit from evangelism. They've shown that they know how to gather a crowd and people can follow them and want to follow them. They're a leader of some experience. We want to see all of that. We want to see them having thought through strategy. How do I move people from outside the faith into the faith and then mature in the faith? We want to see them having thought through some of those things as well.
Mate, thanks very much for your time, and for everybody who's listening in, we'll be running these questions every fortnight, so if you've got ones you want to ask Andrew, email them through to us, and the email address will appear on the screen shortly. Thanks very much.
Love it. Good on you.